Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Oswald Situk, and in today's video, I'll be showing you how to configure object replication for Block Blobs in the storage account in Azure. Now, what is object replication? Object replication basically just helps you asynchronously copy Block Blobs from one storage account that is called your source account to another storage account that is called your destination account. Now, when you hear the term asynchronously, that just means that it doesn't happen in real time. It means it happens some time later. How does this work? Now, let's say you want to set up an application. You set up an application in the United States, and this application has web data on a storage account, stored in a storage account. So the users can access this application, and this data is stored in a storage account in the East US region. Now, once you have this, it means that the application and the users can have read and write access to this data that is in the storage account. And when you're setting up a storage account in Azure, you are mandated to configure a redundancy plan. Supposing you use a GeoZone redundant storage plan or a Geo redundant storage plan, it means that your data will be replicated to a secondary region. This is based on the mapped region pair to your primary region. In this case, we have West US. So it means that you can store your data in a secondary region. In the case of failure or disaster, you can recover data or fail over your application access to the secondary region. Some other cases, you could have read access given to this this redundancy plan. So your users and your application can still read data from this secondary storage account. Now, what happens when this application has traction? It begins to gain traction, and then you have a massive influx of users, and you have just a storage account in the East US, and you have a redundancy plan. This doesn't serve for your users all over the world that come up from everywhere. So these people need to access your application, your data for your application, and this is in the East US. And moving to come read data from this storage account is going to be a hassle. It's going to bring up issues of latency and low efficiency. Now, what object replication brings to the table is this. Object replication helps you to be able to replicate your data in this storage account to other regions for read access. It only gives them read access. You can replicate to up to 2 regions, and then these users can have it. So you could say you have your replication to Australia East, and then your users in that region can have access to this resource. And also you can have another one to maybe South India, and then users could also have this. Nothing more, just 2. This is going to help people to read this read data that is stored in this resource, in these storage accounts, in these different regions, and not just your East US primary region. So how does this work? This is not just going to be a plug and play. You don't just jump into any storage account and get this started. So for you to be able to do this, your source account and your destination account must both be either a standard general purpose V2 account or a premium block blob. I said in the beginning that we're talking about object replication for block blobs. So basically block blobs, it means it doesn't support append blobs, it doesn't support page blobs, it doesn't support file shares queue, it's just for block blobs. And the second requirement here is the blob versioning. Blob versioning must be turned on for both the source and the destination account, because you have to be able to maintain versions of blobs in terms of modifications made to your data. And the third thing here is the online access tier. You should utilize an online access tier. Say you have one of these accounts, say the destination account is an archive tier, and an archive tier is not online, is offline. So you wouldn't be able to replicate something to an offline account. So you can have either of the online access tiers, the hot, cold, and cool options. You can use either of them, but not the archive. There must be an online access tier. And then the last thing here is the blob change feed. The blob change feed feature must be turned on the source account. What is blob change feed? Basically, it's just a feature that provides you with a transaction log for all changes that you make to your blobs and even the metadata of that blob within that storage account. So it's necessary for object replication to be configured. Let's jump into the portal and see how this works. So here we are in the Azure portal, and I have 3 storage accounts here for this demonstration. The first one here is a standard general purpose account. Second one is a premium block blob. Remember we said only these 2 options can be used for object replication. And the third one here is a standard general purpose also. and they are in different locations. This is in East US, this is in Australia East, and this is in South India. So I'm going to just come here and open this one. I have some blobs already put in containers. I created containers and I put in blobs inside. So we have the public blob. If I click this, you would see we have blobs inside. And then if I go back again, you can see static also has blobs inside. So here, I'm going to come here and I have tabs open for each of the blobs, each of the storage accounts. So this is for storage account 2 and 3. So I'm going to come back here. So for us to do this, I said something. I said that we need to ensure that we have versioning turned on. And how do we make this happen? We're going to come down here to data protection. Click on data protection. Here we can see versioning here. So I already went ahead to turn this on, enable versioning for blobs, and also enable blob change feed. Turn this on already. And in this other account, this should be turned on. But it is not compulsory that you do it, because before you even use this, it will be turned on for you automatically. So if you do not do it, it will be done for that object replication to take place. So this is also turned on here. So let's just go ahead and check this out. So this last one doesn't have it turned on, just to show you that it still works. It's going to be turned on automatically when you set a replication rule. So it's not turned on here. Remember I said that for the source account, you need to have blob change feed turned on. So that's why we had blob change feed turned on this one as a necessity, is a requirement. So let's go ahead and just set up our object replication. Here we have just below data protection, object replication. And in object replication, you can just go ahead and create replication rules, or we could upload replication rules from our JSON file if we do have one. But I'm going to focus here for the scope of this demonstration. So I'll click on create replication rules, and this replication can happen in the same region, the same subscription, or the same tenant. Also in different subscription, different region, and different tenant. But for this one, I'm just going to use the same tenant, the same subscription, but different regions. Because you see our storage accounts are in different regions. We have India and we have Australia there. So I'm going to come here. I have just one subscription, so that's it. And destination storage account, I would go for second one, BBOR2. And once that is done, you're given access to choose the source container and the destination container. So I'm going to come here and say, okay, I want to copy files from public blob, and I'm going to take them to maybe replication 1, replica blob 1. Good. Now it gives you filters and copy over. What this really means is you can configure what you want to replicate over to this destination container. So if I come here, you have everything, only new objects, and custom. Now if you click on everything, it means that it will copy over everything that is in that container right now. And if you come here to click on only new object, it means that it will not copy the items or the blobs that are already in the container, but anything else that you add from now will be copied over to the destination region, destination storage account, or destination container. Then with custom here, you can set your custom period for the creation of those blobs and say, okay, from a preset time period, anything that has been created in this container will be replicated over to the destination container. So I'm going to click on save. On everything, sorry, I want to use everything and then click on save. Then here we have filters. What does this really do? Filters helps you in case you have a virtual folder in your container. Know that blob containers are not hierarchical. So if you have a virtual folder, you could just put in a virtual folder. Say we have a virtual folder called public. So if we have a virtual folder called public, maybe we could use that here, but that's not the case. I'm not going to use this. I'll just cancel and go ahead. So we've set this to everything. I'm going to do the next one. Let's bring in our static web blob. But watch this. I'm going to come here and I'm going to try to use replica 1. You know, I used it already in this first pair. So I try it here again. There's an error flags up. A destination container may only be specified in one row. So you cannot use it as a destination container twice. And also you cannot use it as a source container in another row. So it cannot work that way. Also, if I come here and say, okay, let me just change this to the one I haven't used, replication blob 2, and I'll come here and change everything here to everything, everything again, click everything, and then come here again. Now I'm going to try to do static web blob again. She says source containers must be unique, so I can't even use that again. So I have just two containers there, and I just want to show you this. So this is not going to happen. So I just close this up, and I have the two I need, and I'll go ahead and create. Now this takes some time, so I'm going to pause my recording and come back when this is done. So we're done. You can see it shows you the replication rule. This is from this destination account. This is the source containers, and this is the destination containers. If you want to edit this, you can come here and edit the rules or even download the rules. But if you want to delete this, you have to go to the first one here and click on this and delete the rule. So that's just how it is. Now let's just go to our destination storage account and confirm if we have this there. Now it might take some time to propagate, so we're going to check it out. So we sent it to both containers. So we come here to containers, and then we have our containers right here. I'm going to click on this one to open up. So right now there's nothing inside. That's because it's taking some time to replicate. I'm going to come here to this other one. There's also nothing inside. So let's give it some time. So I'm going to try again. And here we have the blobs. And this took about 3 minutes for this to come over. So we have the blobs here in replica blob 1. And if we come here to, let's go back to containers, replica blob 2. Okay, we have this one right here. So both have been replicated. So this other one has nothing inside. If we come here to the containers we have here, I think we have replica 3. Okay, so nothing is in replica 3 now because there's no replication rule set for this. Let's go and do that. So I'm going to come here and create a new replication rule and click on this and set the replication content account as BBOR3. And as you can see, we are given access to choose what container we want to copy over. So I'm going to come here and say public blob again, and I'll choose replica 3. This is the only one we have, and change this to everything and click on save. And then I will click on create. So we're done with that, and then you can see we have two. This is the first replication rule, and this is the second replication rule. And you can see create replication rules is now grayed out. Now it says no more than 2 object replication policies can be configured with this account as the source account. So remember what I said, a source account is allowed to replicate up to 2 regions to other 2 regions or 2 storage accounts at the same time. And after that, you cannot do anymore. So we've done this, and let's go back to our replica 3 container to confirm. So I'm going to come here and refresh. So as you can see, we now have these blobs right here. So let's go back to this storage account. Let's check out something. This storage account is, let's go to the overview. This storage account is in South India. This storage account here, let's check out this one. This storage account is in Australia East. Then our primary, which is our source storage account, is in East US. So you see, we have it in East US. Oh, our replication still stands. So let's confirm this. It's stated here, but I'll just bring you down to replication redundancy. Our redundancy still stands. Sorry, I said replication still stands. So we have a redundancy of GZRS. So this means that our data is stored here in East US as the primary, and our secondary is West US. And remember, I said you could have read access. I do not have read access on this, but you could have read access. That means the application and the users could read, but that's not what I'm talking about right now. This is still on, and then we now have data that is in Australia East and we have in South India. So users of this application can read data, and it reduces latency and also ensures that you have better efficiency with your application setup. So thank you for watching, and if this is your first time here, I would say please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Would like to come read them, and see you in the next video.